And there they go. We are off. All right, so right off the bat, we have prologue. Prologue, you'll see the runners jumping a lot. We can't dash yet, not until we get to the very end of the prologue when the bird teaches us how to dash for some reason, but whatever. So basically, every jump here saves 2 frames precisely due to an inherent speed boost that the jump actually gives you. Once we get the dash and start city, the speedrun will be off and up and away, as they say, I guess, because the dash combined with the jump are basically what make this speedrun what it is. It's all about preserving, or it's all about providing and conserving momentum, and you'll see right away in Chapter 1 that being utilized in the form of dash cancels and something called hyper dash, which is basically just dash cancels while you're crouching to give you more speed and distance in your jumps. You can also see something called vertical hypers, or wall bounces, as I like to call them. They're kind of called 2 different things by the community. So wall bounces are basically just dashing upwards along a wall and jumping off of it in order to get a lot of vertical speed and distance.
All right, we see akbiggs taking a death here, trying to pull off a reverse hyper. Decides to go with a safer strat.
It's a commendable skill for any top runner to realize that, you know, maybe continuing to do this strat, you know, just isn't worth it if it's not, you know, totally consistent. That was a neat little wave or dash cancel strat there from akbiggs.
Right, and so Zeion taking a death there, but again, they're only like 1 or 2 screens behind. So Chapter 1 is known for being very short. So we'll start to see if there will be a lead growth when we get to Chapter 3. That's like the big first like hurdle in the speedrun.
Yeah, Chapter 1 is short, but it packs a pretty big punch. You'll see a little bit of everything in Chapter 1. I think Chapter 1 is a really good showcase of all the speed tech really that the game has to offer. Like, it's all right here, honestly. I think with the exception of ultra dashes, which I'm not sure how many ultra dashes these runners might incorporate into their strats, but it's really the only thing that's lacking from Chapter 1.
All right, akbiggs
finishing up very nicely.
And now Zeion97 hot on his tail as we prepare to go into Old Site. This is a pretty fun level. We're going to have these fantastic dream blocks where Madeline will zip and zoom her way through. You dash into them, and you will go in that direction to either pop out or run into an obstacle. We might see some stuff later in the game where you can hyper dash out of them. We'll see if they'll go for it or not. But akbiggs heading in and doing our nice skip there. So if you skip the cutscene while Madeline is up near the dream block, she'll actually warp into it after the cutscene is over, saving a little bit of time.
Yep, it's because the cutscene stores your Y pixel, not your X pixel for some reason. It places you in the middle of the room on the X pixel, but stores your Y pixel so that you can spawn inside the block when you skip the cutscene if you're on that Y pixel. Now we're going to have Battleline, or what we affectionately refer to as Battleline, chasing us around here in Chapter 2. Basically, Madeline's alter ego slash doppelganger slash embodiment of her self-doubt and anxiety, chasing her around. They basically mimic every one of her movements about 3 seconds behind, and they also multiply. And as this part goes on, as you can see, there are 3 of them now. There are going to be 5 of them on this screen.
He's making his way nicely there. I got a little nervous on that 3 battling screen. It got a little hectic there.
Can always get hectic in this part. This is definitely this part right here specifically is the first real difficulty spike that you see in the game for sure. When those battle lines come after you the first time.
All right, and akbiggs is going into the awake section as Zeion97 is continuing through his battle line chase. For the awake section, there's not really any hazards here, but there's a lot of different levels of terrain. So runners are going to try to optimize and not bonk into any walls or anything. akbiggs handling that very nicely here, actually getting a 202.
Nice very nice movement.
Now Zeion a couple screens away before he finishes battle line chase. Oh, meeting her head on.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that can happen. If you just like, the battle lines make it so that if you just slip up a little bit in terms of your movement, it can be very punishing for players. There we go. Going between those battle lines is also a pretty risky strat as well.
Yeah, I've seen a safer strat where they'll players will actually jump on that moving block and then dash, so that they have a little more movement to work with. And it seems to be probably a little slower, but you know, definitely less risky.
Yeah, there are a couple of different ways to do that room. It's one of the great things about this game, honestly, is that you'll never see two runners doing the exact same strats through every room. It's very individualized on that part, and players just do what they're comfortable with, and not like only a few of them are like significantly faster than others. Every other one just kind of like, it might differ by like 0.1 second or a similar amount of time, but yeah, it's generally very you'll just see a lot of different strats. It's cool to see. All right, so we have akbiggs starting off chapter 3. This chapter is very cycle based. You'll see dust bunnies moving back and forth in order to try and kill Madeline. And it'll be interesting to see the different strats through here. Speaking of different strats, you can choose to be pretty crazy with your strats here. We'll see in a race setting how safe or aggressive these runners want to be.
And now Zeion97 entering the resort section as well. Opting to be a little safe there. Oh, very interesting. I like that move. Going up a little higher to get up there. As akbiggs is moving through a huge mess here. So for this section, we have our mission is to clear out all this clutter for Mr. Ishiro. There's 3 different sections, and you can choose the order that you want to go in. The run is sort of optimized, where once we exit a section, we're right next to Ishiro, so we can quickly get ready to go to the next portion. But you do have the option of choosing a different route, which I have seen in a race setting, so we'll see how that works out here. But akbiggs heading to the second part as Zeion is moving into his first key.
I can't even remember the last time I've seen a runner go in a different order than what is normally done. The order that akbiggs is doing right now, I think it's south, northeast is the order.
Oh, he did not get his dash back. Unfortunate there.
And yeah, again, this part, the routing of this part is mainly focused on where Oshiro is in the huge mess room at the end. So we want to minimize movement in by far the biggest room in this section.
Now akbiggs heading into the last room here, the laundry room. So we got Zeion97 moving through very nicely. Nice some wall kicks off of there.
Yeah.
So he gets to these lock switches.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing I mean. Like, you know, like Zeion97 taking the save with the wall bounces there, whereas akbiggs might have skipped a couple of those walls. It's just nice to see some different strats, you know, from runners. akbiggs finishing off this huge mess section.
With Zeion97 getting into it. Now, it might seem a bit far apart, but with Chapter 3, there are many areas where a runner can get caught up. We have a key skip, or, well, a key later on that can run into some trouble, as well as the Oshiro fight. So there's plenty of opportunity for Zeion to catch up here.
Yeah, the elevator shaft can definitely be a brutal part of this resort. for sure. You see akbiggs having just a little bit of trouble with the coin room, as you know, you're generally going to run into trouble in that room if you have trouble with any room in this last part of resort. It's generally that room, because that room is pretty tricky.
Zeion97 getting that spike jump there. So basically, spikes are designed to where if you are facing away them or moving away from them, you can't get hit by them. And we use a wall kick to kind of jump off a few of those. There's 3 that I know of in the game that will apply for the run. We'll see 1 in Chapter 4 and hopefully 1 in Chapter 7.
Meanwhile, akbiggs is about to leave a very bad review for Mr. Oshiro for his hotel, and Mr. Oshiro gets really mad at this review and just basically kind of comes after Madeline with a vengeance. Don't leave bad reviews for hotels, I guess, is the moral of this story. But basically, Madeline's now running away from Oshiro on the roof of his hotel. Oshiro can charge at you on a global cycle. Assuming you don't actually land on Oshiro. I guess that's the only thing that can really change it. But basically, he'll come at you a little bit later each time, and it's your job to avoid it, as well as... what's the word? As well as... whatever. Just do the platforming. That's the word. That's the phrase for it.
And we see, actually...
I'll think of the word eventually.
akbiggs got caught up on that wall there, and Oshiro just taking a bite out of Madeline. He's moving into the last room, the notorious room of the chapter. This is where lead changes can happen in a heartbeat. There's just a lot of traversing that you have to do, and Oshiro's hot on your tail. He's got his dust bunnies there too. But akbiggs makes it
that's the word. Thank you.
Oh, there we go.
Traverse, that's it.
Right,
Thinking trans something.
Like transcend?
Transcend, yeah. We transcend the hotel. Perfect. Nice English.
Alright, so we got akbiggs heading into Golden Bridge, and Zeion97 making his way out of Huge Mess here.
Yep, Chapter 4 is going to introduce a couple of new mechanics. We have these blue bubbles, which basically act as extra dashes for players. We have wind, which is kind of obvious what it does, but it generally wind does not affect dash momentum at all. So there's that going for us. And we have these clouds that act as trampolines, basically, that you can dash off of and jump off of and actually get your dash back, as akbiggs did there.
And Chapter 4 is very interesting because each room essentially has a way to save little amounts of time. And a few rooms where there's like a huge chunk of time that can be saved. But of course, if you die in those instances, it really adds up. So a clean ridge can make or break a run. It's one of the many places that can make or break a run. Alright, so we got Zeion97 going for the skip here. Taking it very cautiously. I appreciate the move. While akbiggs aggressively wall bouncing his way up this section. So we hit the first auto-scroller skip. See how he's going to handle this here.
Yeah, there are a couple of ways to do this auto-scroller skip. That was very nicely done. You can extended hyperdash, which I'll explain in a minute, actually. Or you could hyper and bunny hop as well, which is slightly harder, but saves a minimal amount of time. An extended hyperdash, so I didn't mention this, but I mentioned hyperdashes, but I didn't mention extended. So basically, you can gain your dash back midair during a hyperdash if you jump between 10 and 15 frames after you initially dash. And what that does is it hits a sweet spot between the time when you regain your dash and the time when you actually end your dash. So you can actually gain that dash back in midair. And you'll use that. You'll see the players using that to their advantage pretty often.
So akbiggs doing a nice hyper there to get out of that room. As we have Zeion97 going into his Oshiro fight. And the interesting thing about that auto-scroll room that akbiggs just cleared is that it turns out that there was a new technique found to get through that. I think that was today too, wasn't it? It was showcased today or a couple days ago.
Yeah, I think it was. I want to say it was Risky CB that found it. But yeah, basically you can do an ultra dash off the block. It saves about half a second. But I don't know if you'll see many players going for it quite yet until we get used to it. Because keep in mind how much time you lose if you fail it. You know, it's just like it might not be worth it for full game runners quite yet.
akbiggs was zooming through this final section of ridge here, taking a death there. Maybe dashing a little too early, but he's been very aggressive this whole chapter, so it's been paying off for him for the most part. And now Zeion97.
I was just to mention Zeion as well. Yeah, Zeion maybe having a little bit of trouble with Oshiro in a couple sections. Oshiro tends to do that. Well, akbiggs finishing up chapter 4. Ooh, nice save. And we have a deathless last screen for Zeion. That was very nicely done there.
Yeah, I like the decision not to hyper. I think he wasn't too sure about that last dust bunny there, because I know I've seen many runners run into that at the very end, which is definitely the worst time to take a death on that screen. But being smart and being aware of the situation there, and he was able to clear it just fine. And so he's going to go into Ridge as akbiggs heads into Mirror Temple. Got a lot of cool...
I was going to say, he's attempting a wave dash strat through there. There are a couple ways to do that skip. Basically, that's a skip that skips a red bubble on the left side. You're supposed to take to the right and through that gap. You can either hyper through that, you can reverse hyper through it, you can wave dash through it. Generally, the wave dash is the faster method, but it's generally the least safe. But akbiggs trying it anyway. I think he died once, but got it the second time.
So look at Zeion. Maybe it was catching his bearings at the beginning of Golden Ridge. He's making his way through now. And now akbiggs in probably the most stressful room in the first part of Chapter 5, in my opinion. Particularly this section here, you got these blade spinners. Oh my goodness.
You know what? I saw that commentator's curse coming, man. I saw that coming.
I should have known better. This room, in when I'm running, it stresses me out, and it stresses me out any time that someone's in it, because I'm just like, please don't get clipped by those last two blades. I'm sorry, akbiggs. My anxiety transferred to you.
It's all your fault.
It is. He recovered nicely though, and he's moving into our Seeker quote-unquote tutorial. As Zeion is moving his way through the nice cloud section here, he's going to get to the shrine shortly. I think it's the shrine. That's the name of that place.
Having a little bit of trouble with stamina. Come on. All right, he got it.
Got it.
Neutral wall jumping to the rescue. Zeion attempting, choosing not to do the spike jump strat, which I don't think we ever got into. It's kind of too late now, but essentially, if you were wondering what akbiggs did at that section that I just mentioned with Zeion, I know this is really late to explain this, but there's a fundamental property of spikes in this game where they will not actually touch you if you're moving in the same direction as they are. So you can use it to your advantage and jump off a wall while moving away from the spikes. And it kind of looks like you're jumping off the spikes, but it's really not.
Alright, so you have akbiggs running through the Seeker section here. There's a lot of lock switches. Oh, interesting strat. Okay. Hopping and booming around. But these Seekers are out to destroy Madeline. And every runner's dream of clearing this at a nice pace. But they will hone in on Madeline and beeline towards her. You can bonk on them, and actually their explosion, when they come back to life, can trigger some of these lock switches, so some runners will use it to their advantage. This Seeker in particular is out for blood, just ruining by taking out these platforms, but akbiggs handling it very nicely. And he gets away scot-free.
I was about to say, don't say anything about dying in this room like I did earlier. But yeah, akbiggs getting through that room very nicely.
There's definitely a lot of improv in that room. Those Seekers like to ruin your strat. Just be like, well.
Meanwhile, akbiggs doing search skip, nails it perfectly. So that saves about a little over a minute of casual play. But I always say, if you're gonna wow, okay, whoop, that Seeker. Nicely done to avoid that. Wow, that was pretty tense. I would say that search skip is definitely one of the skips that you want to learn right away. If it's pretty much the skip you want to learn as a new runner. Alright, so now akbiggs coming up on Theo now. The catch with Theo is that you cannot actually dash while you're carrying Theo, so you need to throw Theo and then hyper or jump dash into him in order to preserve that momentum, and then catch him as you're in the air.
akbiggs handling this very nicely as Zeion97 is moving through his last section through Golden Ridge.
You can also tell that akbiggs is doing something to preserve his momentum, known as bunny hopping as well. It's kind of self-explanatory. You're basically just bunny hopping as you're moving along with a bunch of momentum in order to preserve that momentum. Because momentum gets killed slower while you're in the air versus when you're on the ground.
Oh, he did that room very nicely. I'm liking those quick bursts of throwing Theo and just quickly dashing.
Seeker. Oh, okay. He's gonna take the top route now. Nice adaptation of the strat there from akbiggs. I think he meant to go bottom, and then Theo just got caught up top, and he just said, oh, okay, I guess I'll go up top then. And pulled it off pretty seamlessly. Nice chapter 5.
Yeah, looks like you got a sub 6 there at 556. Very impressive. As a Zeion in the final screen of Golden Ridge here. We got these green bubbles doing their farewell tour. Oh no. Alright, so I just looked in the chat. Zeion97 mentioned that his controller broke during Resort and had to use the D-pad. It was very unfortunate.
That is really unfortunate. Yeah, that's pretty awful.
Hopefully he gets that squared away.
Yeah, here's hoping he can finish the race and also like get that problem sorted out pretty soon. Relatively soon.
Yeah, he's making. It looks like he might be making the switch now. If he goes to keyboard, I will tip my hat to him. Oh, it doesn't look like I've seen the A button appear, so I think he might have swapped out to another controller. That is very unfortunate. Hopefully this doesn't become a mental block for him, and he's can bounce back as he enters Mirror Temple. And with akbiggs, he is actually in Reflection, where he's about to go heads up with Madeline. Or, well, Madeline and Badeline, let me rephrase that. So we got these lovely Kevin blocks here, and they provide fantastic momentum, as you see there, zooming through that screen. It's definitely fun, but it's also, you can get very distraught if you mess it up. But he's making his way through.
Yeah, Chapter 6 is full of difficult yet tiny time savers.
Oh, lost his momentum.
That was really unfortunate. I'll tell you exactly what happened there, and it's really dumb. But you can actually wall kick off of the wall that spawns behind you when you come into that room.
Oh, wow.
And it's really dumb but it can happen, and that's what happened to akbiggs there. It's always really frustrating because like all you're trying to do is bunny hop on the ground, you end up kicking off that wall and it kills your momentum. You get an awk. Awk is AWK, stands for accidental wall kick. Refers to any sort of killing of your momentum brought on by a wall or a corner. Most often by a corner, but sometimes that can happen.
He made some nice recovery and is zooming through these rooms as we get to a few more screens before we meet up and start chasing Battle Line down. Zeion97 taking the developer shortcut here, saving himself from grabbing a key, and heading into a few more screens before we get to the Seekers.
Playing it pretty safe there with the saws. Nicely done.
And then we have some more developer-intended skips here. These narrow platforms.
Yep.
Oh. What the big risk there, of course, is there are checkpoints in this room, but by utilizing these shortcuts, you don't activate them. So a death can result in a severe time loss. But he gets that second one here as he makes his way through the water section.
Yeah, unfortunately, the last shortcut to take is the hardest because it's the only one that doesn't have an actual setup for it. Setup for it where you can rub up against the wall, and get your pixel perfect position. All right, so let's see if akbiggs goes for the battle and boost here. And
doesn't look like it.
Nope.
Or maybe
nope, he's just
mini
gonna
version?
play it safe.
So he's heading into the Battle Line fight. Let's go ahead and see some hey yas in the chat. So basically with this, Madeline and Battlein are duking it out, and the goal is to pretty much run into Battlein. You get to the end of the room, she plows through the wall just like so, and you keep going. She has a very rough laser that will hone in on Madeline, as well as these two red orbs. And for the most part, you might not see the laser come out if the runners have it down. There's a few rooms where it'll happen, but the route is somewhat optimized to prevent that that laser from taking you down. But we still have spikes and bricks that are trying to crush you, and a bunch of other stuff in here. So it's a pretty intense section. Definitely from a casual standpoint, this could be like one of the most nerve-wracking areas of the game.
Yep, so each time you hit Battle Line, it actually activates a little mini cutscene that knocks you back. So it's not... It's like weird forced knockback. So it'll knock you in a fixed direction. Like, it'll... Say you approach Battle Line from the left. It's scripted to knock you back in a certain direction. So sometimes it'll knock you to the left, sometimes it'll knock you to the right. Because sometimes just knocking you to the left would just kill you automatically. So that's the reason it's like that. But because of that, you can predict there it's gonna knock Melon to the right.
All right, he cleared the first part of the fight very nicely. Battle's going to have a few dialogue boxes here before we go into round 2, where she's able to control these bricks and move them up and down. A little more intense, but this one's, I feel like it's somewhat shorter, but the rooms are definitely more brutal. As we have Zeion97, I believe he did get his surge skip. Nicely done.
Zeion quickly approaching the Theo section.
Oh, nice bonk up that
yeah,
Seeker.
good save. Good save.
Oh, close shave there too. My heart. Alright, now akbiggs on the final room. Oh my goodness. That was way too close. But he gets away scot-free and is going to run into Battle Line again. and be rewarded with an additional dash, which we'll utilize here to get ready to head into Summit.
Ooh.
He moves to that very nicely. We got Zeion97 heading into his Theo section here. Oh my goodness. That secret just came out of nowhere and was like, I'm going to get you at the very end.
Yeah, this term is giving Zion a little bit of trouble. Looks like he's through it, though. Meanwhile, akbiggs finishing with a 7-minute flat reflection.
So akbiggs is heading into Summit, which is basically a run back of the mountain. We're going to see bits and pieces of each chapter as we make our way to 3,000 meters. So off the bat, this is kind of like a, wow, he's zooming, oh my goodness. We're going to see a kind of like a sort of reflection. We got like those spikes again. No feathers or anything like that. But we'll soon see like City and a bunch of our old favorites come back.
Never noticed at the beginning of Summit is like basically just post reflection. I never even like considered that. I always just thought it was like, oh, this is the part of the stage that equates to prologue in the start, and like it never made much sense, but I was just kind of accepted it. Makes a lot more sense that it comes from reflection.
Oh,
yes, here we have the 500-meter section, which is basically the city equivalent. You see a lot of similar mechanics, like these zippers that give you a lot of momentum going up in the air.
Oh, Zeion taking a death there from the Seekers. They're being very aggressive this time around.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my gosh.
That is that's about as far as you can get through the screen. Wow, that's unfortunate. Ooh, that was nicely done there.
Right, he is out in the clear, so you just got to get through this room with these sound waves. Oh, okay,
Wow, that was nice.
Oh, nicely done.
Some
That
good
was
movement
super
there. Yeah, very nice. All right, the return of space blocks in 1,000 meters. See how akbiggs handles these.
So at the space blocks, it's possible to jump out of them. The game actually will teach you that, I believe, in the B side of Chapter 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yep, that's correct.
And it's also possible to hyper out of them as well. Oh, I think we did see a jump there. But hypering out of them, it's possible to save a little more time. It's not really applicable in Chapter 2 because you only have the one dash. But with 2, runners are able to utilize that and get some really good fast times through there. And now we run into the Bane of Existence in Celeste 1500. Arguably one of the most difficult sections in the game. Our Dust Bunnies are back. They're not happy. And they're here to do the best that they can to put the runners to a halt.
Yep, I definitely think this is the hardest part of the run. Bar none.
This is also my favorite too, because when you see runners like just plow their way through it, it's really like I get hyped.
It's satisfying, yeah. It's really satisfying to do quickly.
Like, oh, like akbiggs is doing great. This is like probably the notorious room here with
yeah, this is
oh, I saw that wall bounce. Let's go. Oh, nicely done.
Here we have Franker Z. Rest in
yep.
peace, Franker Z.
You know, I didn't understand why everybody kept saying it, and then in one of the races I was commentating, I just saw it, and now it's like,
Yep.
like you'll never unsee it.
Yep, you will. Yeah. So basically, Franker Z comes from. It's kind of a meme that I started doing, I guess. But the shape of the dust bunnies in that room are shaped like a dog, and once you see it, you will never unsee it.
And that is true. I see it every time now.
That was definitely intentional. It had to have been by Matt Thorson.
Right, so
It's not a dog, it's some animal. I don't know, I see a dog.
It's like one of those ink test things. Like, what do you see?
Yeah, the ink blot. akbiggs, one of the hardest screens in Summit right here, 2,000 meters. Gets through it. We'll see this auto-scroller skip. Very nice. And the wall bounce off the little nook there. Perfect. Very nicely done.
I like that he kicked off the wall to set himself up. I might have to take that. I might have to use that for myself.
Yeah, that is definitely a legitimate strat for sure. I think I used to do that too, actually. Zeion taking the upper route here in Chapter 6. Which is technically faster if you do it perfectly. But it's also a lot harder, but he pulled it off very well.
I see Zeion making his way through this feather section. Got these bumpers here, which we didn't really dabble too much in. Basically, it's just like a bumper in a pinball machine. Madeline runs into him, and she gets slammed in the opposite direction. It is possible to get an extra distance off of them by holding the opposite direction as you run face first into them. It's really only applied in one spot for any percent. We got akbiggs flying through 2500 here. We're going to see if he's going to opt for everybody's favorite skip, the door skip. But he gets it. He skipped very nicely. Oh my gosh, that was
nice. So there's a little piece of wall there that you can wall bounce off of where there are no spikes. And that is how akbiggs was able to pull that off. Fun fact, that skip is actually a lot easier with a second jump button down that you hold.
Yes, it is. I was struggling with that myself, and once I learned about that, it has been a piece of cake. Going for door skip. Let's see if he gets it here. Oh, commentator curse where? Not here today.
GG akbiggs.
And now Zeion97 heading into his battle line fight.
Well, akbiggs is about to start the 3,000 meter section, which is mostly a vertical climb, as you'll be able to tell right away. Therefore, akbiggs will be making use of vertical hypers, or wall bounces if you want to call them that. See, very plentiful there. Oh, neutral. Okay, good. Especially in this downdraft section here. I mentioned earlier that wind actually is not affected by your dash momentum, or excuse me, your dash momentum is not affected by the wind, vice versa. So using that vertical hyper is going to be really important here.
And again, akbiggs being very aggressive. You can see the anger in Madeline's face as she's dashing through these zones. I like the play. And Zeion97 still moving through the battle line fight here. Also, chat, can we get a countdown on the flags as akbiggs is continuing his ascent up summit? If you could be so kind.
I don't even know the numbers of the flags anymore. Otherwise, I would count them. I would count them. I can't quite see them. I don't even know.
Because you skip a lot of them?
Not necessarily. I think it's just because I just don't bother to read them.
I'm also guilty of that. I think in chat I was completely off trying to partake in the fun.
Yeah, plus a lot of runners skip some flags and it gets confusing. It's like you end on flag 4. It's like, wait, what?
I do know this one is 13 because this is the last time we'll see our lock switches. akbiggs handling it nicely. I got a little nervous as I brought the room up.
You've learned nothing.
I haven't. It's such a bad habit.
It's real, man. I'm convinced it's real now.
Alright, and Zeion97 making his way through to the second portion of the battle line fight here as we are getting close to the final section on Summit with akbiggs. It looks like he could be on pace for, it could be a sub 38. It'll be very close, I think.
Yeah, it's looking to be right around a 38 if nothing goes wrong here. Oh no, I've done it.
I passed it off to you.
Oh, please prove me wrong. akbiggs, please prove me wrong. Okay, nicely done. Just 3 more flags, including this one.
And now akbiggs is in the home stretch. And Zeion97 almost finished Reflection here. Oh, nice wall bounces.
Yeah, those are the swaggy wall bounces as akbiggs finishes. GG. He is the winner of this race. The time of 38:05. Well done. So that is the run for akbiggs as we see Zeion97 finishing off battle line, about to get his second dash, and will make his way up towards the summit. We'll see if akbiggs wants to come in for an interview if he's able to.
Alright, Zeion97 finishing up his reflection here. I think it's gonna be close. Well, if he has a super clean summit, he could PB here. It's definitely possible. Summit has definitely been the make or break in the races this whole tournament. So we'll see how he handles this here.
And we are joined now by akbiggs. Yo, what's up, dude? GG on the win. If you are attempting to talk, your mic is muted on Discord, by the way.
Alright, while we get things squared away with akbiggs, we'll go back to Zeion here, making his way through the first portion of Summit. Oh, getting the strawberry. I like that move. Scoring himself a nice 1,000 points there.
Alright, akbiggs, are you there?
Cool, you guys can hear me now.
Yeah, there we go. What's up?
Sweet. Yeah, sorry, I was spamming the unmute button and it just was not working.
It's okay.
How's the lag on the...
Totally fine. It's fine. You're good.
Sweet.
There might be a little bit of an echo coming from your side. I think I heard a little bit of one, but I don't think it's a huge deal.
Okay, let me jack it phones for you. Echo should be gone now.
Alright, cool. Awesome. So how do you feel about that run?
it was a really interesting one. Like super terrible, and others were pretty clean for. So that was like it gives me a good glimpse of like what a good run could look like if I just like clean up some of like thing.
Well, that's pretty typical of a Celeste run. Honestly, you have your ups and downs for sure. Celeste is that kind of game where like it's very rare where everything goes well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, akbiggs, what is your record now in the group portion of the tournament?
Now it would be 3 and 4, I think. Yeah, so I won't be advancing past the bracket. The pools.
Well, that's unfortunate. Well, you gave a great show in the tournament.
Oh, thanks, man.
For sure.
Actually,
You should be proud.
yeah, that time is definitely a good one. Did you PB often in the group portion of the tournament?
For sure. When I started, my PB was around like 50 minutes or so.
Oh wow,
That's really impressive.
So I improved
That's
a lot.
very, very impressive.
It's a lot easier to improve, I find, when there's like a concrete goal that you can work towards that isn't like obscenely far away. Aiming for the world record would just be like completely impossible for me. I don't even have the time to like trying to beat someone whose PB is like 4 minutes ahead of me is a lot more achievable.
Yeah, for sure. It's easy to have a good, clear, concise goal in mind. So when you started off with the groups, so you said your PB was around 50 minutes. Did you PB like while you were in the tournament? So did you PB in any tournament matches, I guess?
I don't think so. I think oh wait, actually that's not true. Against Sonic Blaster, I did PB by about 30 seconds or so.
Nice.
And so that was like a 37-21 or so, and then it was a really fun match. He actually beat me by only 2 seconds.
Dang.
oh I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Like I watched it back later, and it was just like neck and neck the entire time. So really interesting to see like how close that was.
I can tell you from personal experience that those types of races are definitely the most hype. So I definitely will check that out, because I did hear a lot of people in the Discord just like clamoring about how like ridiculously close that was.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun. I really gave that one my all. Like I went through all the crazy pull off.
So now that your group play is finished, to my understanding, do you plan on continuing to run Celeste or pursue another category?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was debating that the past few days, if I should continue to run the game. Even a short game like this is really time-consuming to continue to improve at, and I feel like I've kind of proven to myself what I wanted to when I started speedrunning it, that I could improve quickly and like people who are really, really good at the game. So I'm not sure if I necessarily want to continue. Like there's a lot of other stuff outside of like gaming that I want to improve at, like work. So yeah, I might like after this tournament.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed that it's very time consuming.
Yeah, I've definitely put a lot of games on hold as I've done my practice in my ascent through the tournament as well. I guess with that being said, overall, are you really satisfied like with the game and with your experience in the tournament? I know you mentioned that you wanted to prove that you can improve your time very quickly and then just kind of take on some people that have been really grinding the game out. So, I mean, like, will you see yourself, I guess, like, coming back and revisiting the game? Not necessarily on a speedrun sense, but just like, I kind of want to play Celeste again.
I definitely could like see myself like continuing to play this game, and I really hope there's like a sequel or like DLC or something at some point, because like man, this game was just so cool.
Yeah, this game's fantastic for sure. Definitely one of the best I've played.
Yeah, same here. It is my front runner for Game of the Year, just because of how much time I've put into the game, and like I'm still not tired of it. Like I can just play it. It's fine.
Like so much in each room, like so many little optimizations, so many nice little details, so many like just little sound effects and little aesthetic touches that like really, like you kind of notice them the more that you play the game, and it's just like it's really incredible how much they put into it.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward. Go ahead.
Too. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Keep interrupting you. I'm sorry. Also, just like the just like the fine tuning of the movement, like that you can tell just like so much work went into.
I've done a fair amount of game development, and yeah, it's really hard to get movement to feel this smooth, and there's like so many just like nice like forgiveness factors, like not just like the few frames before like when you fall off the stage and jump, which is like a pretty typical one for platformers.
Yeah.
Pushing like Madeline like slightly to the side if you like dash into a ceiling, and just like kind of hit at the corner. Actually, like a really kind of brilliant like just the fact that it sort of will like push you around corners to avoid like death is like it's so nice. Like there's just so many nice touches like that.
I remember the introduction of 1.2.3.0, which made wall bouncing a little bit more lenient. It actually made that even more apparent, where you dash up into a corner and it like nudges you towards the wall instead of like bonking you on the ceiling. They made that one more pixel lenient, I believe, as part of that patch.
Sense.
So I just noticed that Twig in chat mentioned gotta practice that melee. So I guess with that being said, is that applying to you? Do you play melee?
I've been playing melee for a few years now.
Okay.
Like on and off. Yeah, Twig and I both work at Google actually, which is kind of hilarious. Like they actually have a giant like melee community there, which is really unexpected.
That's pretty awesome.
I definitely respect the game. I've seen high level play of it, and I'm just like, I can't do it. There's too much going on. But it's very fun to watch.
Yeah, it's both like a great spectator sport, and also just playing it and like managing to clutch out a really close match is like fine feelings. I don't know. I can't really get that like in too much else. I'm considering like lately taking up like something that's a bit more athletic too, to like something like tennis or something, like some 1v1 bit of an emphasis on tactics, but
Yo, Zeion97 getting door skipped, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you.
oh, no worries.
That was pretty impressive.
Door skip is so difficult.
Yeah, it is the bane of my existence. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, if I'm on PB pace, I'm not going for it. Like, sorry, fans.
I used to be the same way.
Okay, I didn't
remember.
know that.
I was one of the main advocates of not doing it, and now I do it every run. So just the moral of the story is don't listen to me.
All right, so we'll go ahead and close out the interview. Akbiggs, you got any shout-outs or anything you'd like to give before we head back to the final portion of Zeion97's run?
Well, thanks to Twig for supporting me in the chat and stuff during this run. That was really sweet.
All right, cool. Well, congratulations on your run through the tournament, and again on your improvement through the tournament. We hope it's not the end. Hopefully, at some point, we'll see you back around, or maybe take part in another speedrunning game.
Thanks.
Yeah, dude, GG for sure.
All right, so we are heading into Zeion97's summit run here. Again, get those flags up and running. Flag numbers, excuse me, in the chat as we head through this downdraft section. He's moving very nicely there. I think he skipped a flag, which is a nice play. Paid off for him, saving a little more time.
Yeah, for sure. You heard me mention somewhere back near chapter 3, like you'll never see two players. You'll never see two players do the same things, like the same strats. You know, have the same like mentality when it comes to strats, and like I think 3,000 meters is definitely where that really shines. For sure, especially in the downdraft section. You'll never see two players like do the same things. There's so many like little platforms, you know, like and players have their own way of like they're transfixed to like one platform or a couple platforms, but other players might be transfixed to completely different platforms that they typically jump on.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then there are some, I've seen some small differences, most notably in this room here. I've seen some runners actually keep both dashes with the dash crystal and apply that to this second portion.
Yep, that is an option. That is an option that you have. I don't know if it's any faster, but if you do manage to get the crystal and get both your dashes, it is a lot easier to clear that.
Alright, so Zeion97 getting through flag 14 and now is on 13 with our lock switches here. And even with this room, even though like it looks like it's a predetermined route, everybody kind of handles it a little different.
Yep.
Like, you know, immediately dashing off the spring or taking the spring and getting their bearing set before they go after that last switch. And then even transitioning into to that little platform. Like I've seen some runners go diagonally and then up, and then some people kind of position themselves and go straight up. Oh, just short on that cliff there. But he gets it that time. So he makes his way through flag 9. Skipping flag 8 and going into flag 7. I almost did it. Fight the commentator curse, Zeion97.
Neutral. Okay.
Now Zeion97 in the home stretch here. Actually, Shredberg pointing out that akbiggs isn't making it into the bracket with a 38. I feel like there are a few groups that are like that, actually. People have just been... some of the groups have just been like extremely cutthroat.
That's actually one of the reasons I asked, like, you know, did you PB like throughout the tournament? Because I can't imagine that somebody with a 38 currently would struggle to make it out of brackets, unless they had a much higher time to begin with and like progressed.
Alright, so Zeion97 in that home stretch there, cutting it close, running out of stamina, but was able to handle that very nicely. I am now extremely nervous. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
I just realized
GG.
what I did. Yeah, GG. Woo! I was like, oh no, I set him up. Please don't. But he got through it. He got through it. Finishing off with a 54-54. Nicely done. Also commendable, considering that, you know, he mentioned that his controller broke. So, still very impressive to keep his head in the game, even though he had some hardware issues. Still nicely done.
Yeah, definitely. As somebody with controller problems, albeit not really as bad as, you know, having a controller break mid-run, I can definitely empathize with with controller issues in general, and I can't even imagine having a controller break mid-run and still finishing the run.
Yeah,
That's pretty impressive. So kudos to Zeion for that.
definitely. I guess we can see if we can get him in here for an interview or not, because I believe that this is the last run of the night for Speed Gaming, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess we got a little time if he wants to come in or not. So nicely done from both runners.
And I can't even imagine having a controller break mid-run and still finishing the run.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. So kudos to Zeion. And there he is. We have Zeion97 in the interview booth. What's up, dude? I think your mic may be muted, or...
Hey guys,
There we go.
I don't have a pair of headphones. That was the worst match I've ever had to do. You know how the Elite has the interchangeable, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you were using...
Oh god, I gotta mute that.
No, it's fine. You're fine. You're good. But yeah, dude, mad respect for, with the controller breaking and everything. You still like held your bearings.
Sorry, I had to mute that. Yeah, literally the joystick broke, and the only other controller I had, it drifts, and it doesn't hold grab with left trigger. So I tried doing it right trigger with Ridge, and you saw how bad that went. So I basically used a broken controller to finish out the entire run.
Dude, kudos, though, sticking with it and finishing off. That's ridiculous.
Oh, that was the worst thing of my life I've ever had to do. I can't hear you guys, so I'm sorry if you're talking. I can't find headphones. My daughter ran off with them, so...
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I apologize to everyone who had to watch that, though. That was horrible.
Oh, no, dude. Mad respect for finishing. I mean, in that situation, it's very easy to just be like, forfeit, I'm done. So you get mad props from me for pulling through and getting that done. So
Yeah, seconded. Absolutely. I know you can't hear us, but huge props. Alright, so, I think if Zeion can't hear us, I'm not sure if,
yeah, I'm not sure how you can go forward with this.
right now, unless he can grab his headphones really quick. Maybe if we yell loud enough, he'll be able to hear us.
We're gonna resort to chat.
Now, please.
All right, so I think I think this might do it for
Yeah, I think
this.
this might do it.
Yeah,
Hey, that's you.
we appreciate Zeion coming in for an interview.
Okay, Zeion.
Thank all you guys very much for coming in, for watching. I've been TGH.
And this is FC Racer. And as always, follow the runners and the commentators if you're enjoying the content here today.
Your name is 97.
Absolutely, is this?
Daddy, 97 is on me now. Now?
All right, awesome. Yeah, thank you guys very much. I believe this was the last Celeste run of the day on Speed Gaming, as FC said. So yeah, thank you guys very much for joining us here. Again, I'm TGH alongside FC Racer. Thank you guys very much. And peace out, guys.
Yep, we'll see you next time.